G'day punters, welcome to Victims of the Punt. Racing this weekend goes to Gosford. It's still a wet track, but at least it's a sunny day forecast. That's the main thing, right? Mark Shean, Mark Rhoden, they're here to help me find a few winners. Mark Shean, if I start with yourself, Gosford, what are we expecting here in terms of how the track might play there on Saturday?
Look, this corresponding meeting last year, the fence was definitely off. There have been some good rail positions or true rail positions since, of course, and quite a few days the fence has been okay. I'm keeping an open mind, but as I said, it was off last year.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, plenty of wet track form going into this meeting. Does the change in course necessarily do much for you?
No, I don't mind betting at Gosford, and especially if it's a bit soft like it's going to be. It can be a bit up the inside when it's dry, and that's certainly not going to be the case tomorrow. I mean, the inside might be okay early, but on a 10-race card, it's not going to be any good by the end of the day, whatever happens. And that gives more runners a chance, in my view. It's also not going to be the completely bottomless heavy we've seen at a lot of tracks over the last month. So, look, cold night tonight, so it's not going to get much better than an 8, I don't think, but it's certainly not going to be, like those 12, 13s we've seen at some courses.
Okay. Well, let's have a look at the Quaddie legs. We'll start off with race 7, which is the Gosford Gold Cup listed race over 2080, and the favourite currently is Great House at $3.70. You've got Main Stage at $4.80, $5 for Moroni, $5.50, $6 for Numerian, and then Estefani is sitting around $8 at the moment. The rest are in double figures. Mark Shean, I'll get you to kick us off.
Yeah, not sure whose turn it is this week. Not a race that I'm in love with at all. At Main Stages, the form runner coming in, but he's jumping sharply in class, winning some races on bog tracks where he's been able to dominate in front. Look, Moroni was a shocker the other day, ran a good race at Rose Hill and then put in a stinker on a bog track at Randwick or a pulled up lane. Great House, I don't think he fancied the real bog track at Randwick last start, and they decided to give the Sydney Cup a miss with him. Look, I'm going to go his way, Great House, but not with a lot of confidence. I'm just not sure that he got through that heavy ground at Randwick last time out. Freshened up, he does seem to race well with a little bit of a break between runs. Numerian's an interesting one to me. Look, he's a gross type, and he hasn't overly looked, 100% fit to my eye, but that might just be the horse's makeup, big gross type. 2 from 1 for me, but I could be totally wrong.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, any angle for yourself?
First thing I'll mention is it's interesting the race is over 2,080 metres on a true rail. Does that mean that every 2,100 metre race at Gosford for the last 100 years has been 2,080?
No, I think that shoot might be a bit boggy, Mark. I think.
Is that what's happened? Okay, yeah. Well, that's better. That's good. Anyway, look, I found it very difficult as well. I actually ended with Moroni on top. It was just having to completely put the pen through that run. I'm being a bit forgiving of a lot of horses who run on those tracks. Some horses just completely didn't handle it and gave up, which might not be a bad thing. They haven't done themselves any harm, trying to plough through it. And the run before that was good enough to be competitive in this Main Stage. It just sticks itself in the race in best form of its life as a 7-year-old. Down on the limit weight, we'll give a side again. Then I was out to Numerian and Great House, and maybe I thought Moran might be a chance of improving, had some good overseas form, but I am not by any means desperate to bet in this one.
Okay, that's fair enough as well. Race 8 is the Takeover Target listed race over 1,200 metres. The market has Gravina favourite at $4.60 from Oscar Zulu at 7, Southern Lads $7.50, Shelby 66 is $8, Majestic Shot $9.50. Everything else is in double figures from there. Mark Shean, what are your thoughts here in the Takeover?
I couldn't take 460 Gravina. I know that. Look, I know he does like this sort of ground, but his last 2 wins have both been in fields of 7. I thought he was disappointing at Newcastle. He's going to get back here. Looking away from him. Look, I thought Oscar Zulu trialled okay. He's good fresh and likes the ground. So I thought he was a bit of value around the $7 mark. I thought that Southern Lad trialled quite well. Not sure that he's overly fussed on these conditions, but he does sprint well fresh. And Blondo I thought was a query, but maybe the inside draw is against him, but he does normally race well fresh. Another tough race, but I thought Oscar Zulu was a little bit of value. I'm going against the favourite.
Okay, Mark Rhoden.
No, I've gone the other way. I'm with Gravina, just mainly on the grounds that I think the middle gate's good. I think that there really should be speed in a field this size. And I reckon by race 8 they'll be getting down the middle. The best of his 3 runs this time in was the fresh one, and he's had a little freshen up here. If you can get back to that form he showed in that first win at Randwick, I think he's the one to beat. Away from him, Shelby 66 was no good last start. He probably needed the run, didn't he? But back on soft ground, he could improve. He's going to be in an awful spot. But I mean, the horse that was running in highways 2 months ago is now theoretically the class runner of the race. Look, if he bounced back to some of that wet track form, he could run a race. I don't really want to back him, but I think he's in the mix. Oscar Zulu, short of his best trip, but on his trials, he's right in this. And then I had, I was out to Southern Loud as well. Not a good thing by any means, but I've had something on Gravina, and I'm happy to have it on top.
All right. Sounds good there. Race 9 is the time-honoured, the Coast, the mile race for the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. And the market is pretty even. Diamil and Our Playboy, you're getting $5.50 on each of those. $7 for Rustic Steel, $9 best for Old Flame. Kiku and Kinlock and Chartres and Steinem are all $12. And Party Foot 1, you can get $13. Mark Shean, any help here?
Look, I like Our Playboy. I thought it was a tough win at Randwick the other day. At that stage of the day, nothing had won sort of racing 3 and 4 wide. They were all down near the inside. He broke that mould. He's got the form around Mr. Mozart. I know he's got 60 kilos here. He's up a kilo for his last win, but I thought it was a pretty dominant win. 1,600 poses, no problems. I think it'd be hard to beat. Diamond, well, I didn't expect him to be back last the other day. I know that. Not sure what was going on there. They have put the blinkers on. He's got no weight. Look, he did look impressive at Warwick Farm before that, and you probably can be forgiving for that defeat at Randwick. So, look, he's obviously got a chance, and he may have gone into that run a bit underdone. They missed a run or a trial. I can't remember which one, but maybe he was just a little bit underdone. But I think the form around Our Playboy looks pretty strong for me.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just going a bit wider. I have Diamil and Our Playboy 1-2 in my market, but I had my market's pretty flat, and I'm going smaller bets a bit wider. Firstly, I'd like to know which way they're going with Diamil, because he's an emergency who's got to run earlier in the program in a race that he looks very well placed in and drawn better too. But they obviously don't have to scratch because of an emergency, so they're going to wait for later on, obviously, to make the decision there. But that could change the betting here somewhat. But anyway, to return to what I've actually done here, had something on number 4, O President. Comes out of that really fast race at Newcastle. Now, he's up to a mile. I don't know if that's what he wants, but he's going to be right on the speed. I think on the speed's going to be some help, at least around Gosford. And draw 9, he should be either lead or outside lead, and if he needs to get to the middle of the track, should be able to. Taxu's made that form look pretty good as well. Rustic Steel obviously comes through that race too. I don't really like the jockey change in it, and I thought it was obviously set for that race, the Midway Championship, and ran up to win it and didn't. So I suspect that might have been him for the prep, but time will tell there. I might have lost my mind here. I've had a tiny bet on number 12, Phillipsburg, who is actually comes out of that same race Diamond ran in last time. Clearly a great wet tracker. Won't want any track upgrades, but just the way he's going and on the limit at $71, I just wanted to have something on him as well. But I think Our President's a reasonable bet. It will look the winner at some stage at double-figure odds. The wild spec on Phillipsburg, Our Playboy's going to get run of the race. He's got a lot of weight, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him be too strong late. But I have just gone that bit wider.
Okay. All right, that brings us to the last, which is a benchmark 78 over 1,200 metres, and Battleton's favourite at $3 from Cold Crusher at $7.50, and we danced Rainbow Connection. You're getting $11 each of those. Titanium Power's $12, Starman $16, and it goes upwards from there. Mark Shean, your thoughts here in the last?
Yeah, I think a lot will depend on the parade of battle, and here he's obviously the class runner with a second in the Crowley and then a fifth in the Coolmore. He's been off the scene for some time, gelded. I thought his first trial was a bit average. Second trial looked a lot better to me. Doesn't generally carry a lot of condition, so he might be ready to go first up. But, I'd want to have a look at him in the parade. This Cold Crusher fell to pieces at Warwick Farm the other day, blew out in the betting and still bowled it in. So he was right off his game in the yard, and he still won impressively. He does love these conditions. So Just might go his way at the value at this stage. Battling, obviously, the class runner. Away from that, looks a pretty tricky race. A few disappointing horses. I thought Latino Blend could run home at odds, but I thought Coal Crusher would give you a good side up on the speed.
Okay, Mark Rhoden.
Firstly, interesting to hear that. I was on Coal Crusher that day, and I didn't know that about the yard. Rob wasn't there that day, and I was didn't know what was going on. I thought he was a fair thing in the race, and he was just expressing out late. That certainly solves that mystery, but good on him for winning anyway. But yeah, him and Battleton looked at two. I think Battleton's an eye-wateringly sure price in a field this size. First up on the wet. If I had to bet, it'd probably be Coal Crusher. As I said, I was with him last time, and he just has a fantastic racing style. Would give himself every chance. Beyond that, where was I looking? It was nothing. I've got a bunch of them between about 11 and 15. I might back Coal Crusher at around 750, but I was trying to make cases for the likes of Grand Rumour, who clearly wants further than 1200. Selba Rose, who will probably lead maybe, but first up on wet at 1200, probably hits the wall at some point. Rainbow Connection gets back. He's a hot shot, probably scratched it once dry. Yes, it's a real messy race around those two. I can half see why they're keeping Battleton so safe, because apart from those two main chances, it does get pretty messy and thin, but I certainly couldn't back him. So, look, no bet at this stage from me, but if anything, Coal Crusher.
Okay. All right, that brings us to the end. I'll get your best plays on the card. Mark, Shean, I'll start with yourself.
Well, these have been in the wheelchair lately, but race 4, I thought Siege would be hard to beat, providing that they can come from back in the field. Thought she trialled up quite nicely. And race number 6, depending on Dime, I'll hope it doesn't go there. I thought Elusive Jewel would run very well. I thought she'd be very suited going up to 1,600 metres, handles all conditions, and ran into one that was flying at the moment, Quintello, last time out. So they're my two best for Gosford. Fingers crossed.
Likeable. You're getting $4.40 there in race 4 for Siege, and race 6 currently $7 for Elusive Jewel, but as you said, Diamil may very well be a scratching there. Mark Rhoden?
Yeah, not a day I'm super keen on anything at the price. Technically, Gravina's my best bet, but I wouldn't, I don't want to go around declaring it. I've had a few bets wider. I mentioned Doe President and Phillipsburg and the Coast. In the midway, I've had a little crack at this race too. I backed Boudoir first up at double figure odds. And there's an interesting little matchup here. Magic on Ice and Rifles, who met last start. And Magic on Ice won pretty convincingly. But there's a couple of little switches here to suggest that Rifles is some chance of turning the tables on him. And Magic on Ice is about $8 and Rifles is as much as 30 odd in some places. And I've had to have something on Rifles. Under those circumstances, but as the betting suggests, it's about $7, $8 to field that race. Anything could win it, but just a couple of little throws at the stumps at a bit of a price.
Okay, very good. All the best to you both over the weekend. We'll catch up next Friday. We've got Scone coming up next Saturday, so looking forward to previewing that meeting. Until then, go well, guys.
Yeah, gents.